because really trees are our best friend and ally in fighting a lot of the pollution that's headed into the bay. So we are interested in trees as a piece of green infrastructure that filters water. And we're also interested in trees as potential for mitigating climate change and helping to reduce its effects. So on the Eastern Shore, we see sea level rise, you're right up against it on the Eastern Shore and some of the islands in the bay. Trees provide a defense against climate change in that they soak up carbon from the atmosphere. Their roots can help prevent soil erosion. Their leaves can help shade city blocks and also waterways, protecting fish and humans alike from harmful effects of climate change. But of course, we are CBF. And so getting back to some of those water quality, the impetus behind our association with trees and looking at such a robust target, like 5 million trees by 2031. The reasons for that, again, get back to that real infrastructure purpose. We have increasing amounts of stormwater pollution in the bay, and trees can provide like an underground fence line from that runoff that courses over rooftops, over roads, and quickly into our streams. It slows it and it filters it, providing a defense for the fish and other wildlife that live in the waters and helping us to restore them.
Yeah.
For agriculture, it's the same deal. Trees planted along a narrow buffer along an agricultural field can be 6 times as effective as a cover crop at reducing runoff, all that nutrient pollution going into the bay that can create algae blooms that then create dead zones and really stress and sometimes kill the fish and other animals and other critters. So as a state, we've been providing wonderful conservation-oriented funding for cover crops. And through this initiative, we'll now begin to bring trees as an agricultural buffer and also as urban tree canopy into that fold, providing that state support, not only of funding, but also of staffing, because this bill does also boost the amount of Forest Service staff in the Department of Natural Resources. We've been working on this for years. As you mentioned, several nonprofits, locally based, have been working on tree planting projects. The state has several fantastic programs already in place. Agricultural buffer programs, tree planting programs through the Department of Natural Resources. And in fact, this is better viewed as a boost for those existing initiatives. The Chesapeake Bay Trust will be the entity to administer the urban tree planting program. They've got tree planting programs. They've done tree plantings all over the state, but they've been turning away 2/3 of their applications on an annual basis for lack of funding. So this will allow them to expand and to accept more applications and do the work that they've been doing at a higher level. The Department of Natural Resources has the Mel Noland Woodland Incentives Program. They probably have 25 programs that help residents plant trees on private properties. This will provide them extra funding so that they can take further steps to expand those programs that are available again for private property owners. The program is constructed to work through the Chesapeake Bay Trust in part because they have an approach whereby they do not go into a community and then plant trees. They work hand in hand with a community organization, a civic group, a youth group, a church, and they design the project that makes sense for that area. What type of tree? Are you concerned about trees that drop fruit during the year? Are you concerned about shade in a certain area? Where do you want your children to be able to play in shade? Where does it make sense to have more coverage? And where does it make sense to have less? So that process is time intensive and resource intensive, but we think it's absolutely essential for the success of the program. So what we will need is willing neighborhood organizations, civic groups, towns, county governments, and others to come to the table with their interest and then work either with the Chesapeake Bay Trust or directly with one of the state programs to get the trees in the ground. The funding doesn't begin until 2023. So this year is a tremendous opportunity to begin laying that groundwork. The Chesapeake Bay Trust will be holding listening sessions before they develop the RFP for the program. Then they'll be putting out an RFP, a call for responses, and likely, hopefully, accepting applications this coming spring for funding to begin to be dispersed July 1, 2022. We're very hopeful at the potential for planting a lot of these trees on agricultural properties. And part of the reason why we wanted to boost the staffing within DNR's Forest Service is to make connections with agricultural property owners and private property owners that might be willing to plant trees on their property. DNR has studied it, and there's a lot of tree planting potential when you look at streamside buffers in every county. But the Eastern Shore as an agricultural hub, I think, is particularly of interest for those agricultural tree plantings.